What's up? So I'm having a nice carbonated cherry Coke. You thought it was a beer, didn't you? Nah, no beer right now. I had a lot of beer yesterday though. And nachos. Yum, 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 yum. Anyways, I hate it when nachos do that. Stick together. Anyways, having nachos, cherry Coke, and I'm brewing a beer today. So, brewing a strawberry beer. So it's my first time doing a beer where you put it on top of fruit. I put fruit with it, but I'm gonna try it. I bought some frozen strawberries, so I'm gonna put the beer. They're not gonna be frozen when I put them in the fermenter, but I'm gonna let the beer ferment and then rack on some strawberries. Don't know if I'll use the catalyst for that or not. It'd be kind of a challenge getting the strawberries out using the catalyst, so I don't know yet. Unless you got some ideas, let me know. So I'm gonna do a Grainfather brew using Golden Promise, 8 pounds of Golden Promise for the base malt, some light Munich malt, I think 2 pounds of light Munich, and some Vienna malt, about 10 ounces of Vienna malt. And I'm using Styrian Golding hops and Challenger hops. So this is just basic shoot as I go kind of video, nothing formal. So anyways, see. All right, so I'm at the mash temp, 149, 150 is where I want to be. And we're right about, right at 150. There's my grains. I don't have my mini tripod today, so I'm not gonna be able to film mixing in my grains, but that's no big deal. You've seen it once, you've seen it several times. Basically pouring the grain in, just mixing it with the water, and then letting it cycle for a little bit. But I'm gonna go ahead and take my lid off. Set it over here, out of the way. I got the grain basket here all ready to go. I'll go ahead and drop it in. Now I've already added some pH buffer in here, and I also put a Kempton tablet in to take care of the chloramines and chlorine, so it doesn't affect my beer so much. So anyways, I'm gonna dough in the grains here real quick. Alright, just mashing in, doughing in. Some of y'all never heard that term, doughing in, but mashing in is a more common used term. So that's what I'm doing here, just mixing this up. Scraping from the bottom, This metal rake is the best. Don't use a plastic one on the Grainfather. It's harder to use, and this just works way better. Doesn't bend, no flicks to it, just makes it easier to mix and stir. Well, I'm gonna finish stirring this in real good, and we'll get back to this. That's pretty well mashed in. Looks like a porridge. So, let's go set this over here. Take this bad boy. Just gonna set it on down inside, like so. Just should pretty much slide down in there. And just sit on top of the grain bed. Just kind of level. It's going to be a fairly pale beer, this one. Not a whole lot of dark color to it, which is what I want, because I want the strawberries to kind of influence it and give it a little bit of that pinkish reddish hue, hopefully. So I'm going to take the grain blocker out. Set that on the side. Get this guy here. A little overflow in it. push it down until it's flush, like so. Now, recirculate. And I need my lid. Put the lid on. Put my hose in there like so. And I took the check ball valve out, so if I was to kick the pump on with nothing attached, it would just squirt wort straight out. But I know better, so just putting this on, no issues. Alright, make sure it's good and snug on there. Flow open. Flip the switch to on. And see if we get some wort flow. And we have wort flow. So now, what I like to do is I like to take this, just kind of move it out of the way for a minute and look at the flow. Make sure we got a good steady flow going, and you see we do. So, it's a real heavy flow. I wanted to encourage the wort to go through the bed more than into the overflow, so I sometimes will dial this just a little bit. Usually about here, and after a while it will flow through the middle for a little bit, but then it'll start to flow more through the grain bed over time. So I leave it about yay flow, and then start my timer for an hour. But you can see it's just kind of barely going over the edge, so after a while it'll stop doing that. So I'm going to put the cover on and set my 60-minute timer for the mash. Alright guys, we're like 30 minutes into the mash. This is what I was talking about having the flow controlled here. At first, you know, it was flowing down the middle, but now you can see, without fogging up my lens, it's no longer flowing down the middle. It's actually flowing through the grain bed like we want to help get as much of those sugars converted, or starches converted to sugars, I should say. And you can see I still got steady flow of wort here coming out. So, but yeah, and it also keeps all the bits from flowing down through the pipe, and then less bits in your boil. But you can see it's already, the wort itself is already starting to come out pretty clear, but it's not flowing down the bottom anymore. So we got another half hour on this before we sparge. I'm not really even going to show the sparge. I'm just basically going to pull the grain basket up and rinse the grains. But yeah, just a little tip: don't have the flow all the way, and you'll still have a nice steady flow coming through your arm, and it won't go down the middle anymore. After about 15-20 minutes, it'll really just be flowing through the bed like we want. So anyways, now I'm heating up sparge water over here. You know, I've treated it as well, so it's ready to go, and I'll be sparging this here in a bit. And there we have it. We're looking at about 11 bricks on this pre-boil gravity, and I'll put the what that converts to on gravity here on screen. Alright guys, we are officially at boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and add 0.67 ounces of the Challenger hops here. And no, I'm not using a hop spider today because there's really not a whole lot of hops in this beer. So yeah, but got a nice little, one thing about the Grainfather, it doesn't have a super vigorous boil to it, but it definitely still has somewhat of a rolling boil in there. Right now it looks like a bit of a simmer, but sometimes it really gets moving. Just takes a little bit of time to get there sometimes, but so far the beers have come up pretty damn good out of it, so can't complain too much. Just kind of stirring the hops in a little more here. So anyways, there you go. Oh, this is what I was talking about, like the boil actually does get rolling pretty decently after a while. This is like, you know, a couple minutes after I just cut off the camera, but got a decent rolling boil going on in there. The boil off rate on the Grainfather for me has been 0.5 gallons, half a gallon per at an hour. So Yeah, boil off is not a gallon an hour, it's half a gallon an hour. So, but anyways, yeah, it's got a decent roll to it once it gets going. But anyways, just wanted to show you all this real quick. 213 degrees boiling mark here. So, anyways, and I did drink down the brown ale, which I will do a video of and talk about. That was fermented in the catalyst. Beer is really clear, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with the Warflock tablet and the then the catalyst being able to like let everything settle out more and less chance of siphoning any of that out of there. But see you shortly. All right, we're at the 10-minute mark prior to flame out. I got to add my 1/3 ounce of Styrian Goldens to this, so here we go. Can't see that drop because it steamed up the lens. Got the lens, got the lens. Man, anyways, things have been holding pretty steady at about 213, 214 boil. I did throw a Warflock tablet in there as well, so now the only thing we have left to drop in there is this 1 ounce of Styrian Goldens. I got a little drink here. Pretty good there. But sanitize the catalyst. Now, what I'm thinking is because this beer requires that I rack it on fruit, I'm going to do like the primary fermentation in the catalyst, and then I'm going to have to rack the beer out of the catalyst into a bucket fermenter with the fruit and let it sit on the fruit for like a week or so, and then rack off of that. So I don't think it'd be very easy to put the fruit in here and try to like rack out. I don't know if anybody's got any ideas on that. I'm open to them, but I just don't think doing the fruit deal in this is going to work right. This will be the first time I've ever used fruit in the beer other than a pumpkin ale, but I used the pumpkin in the mash, not in my fermentation chamber or vessel. So any ideas would be great. Any of you guys that make fruit beers, if you use the flavored syrups, that don't count. I'm talking about putting the beer on fruit. But anyways, just waiting for the last few minutes of this. Cheers. So get back to you when I do the final hop drop. Then I'll let the hops do a hop stand for 5 minutes. But I'm gonna go ahead and circulate the wort through my counterflow chiller to go ahead and sanitize it while we're doing the hop stand. So see you in a minute. All right, it is time to add our last hop addition of 1 ounce of Styrian Goldens. Smell-o-vision, smell-o-vision. Anyways, maybe one day, right? Let's go ahead and dump them in. All right. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and kill the boil. So now everything's off. Should stop boiling around. We're gonna let this do a hop stand for 5 minutes. While it's going on, we'll go ahead and put the lid on, just like so. And I'm gonna go ahead and put this bad boy on top, counterflow, get it sanitized. So go ahead and screw it on there. Oh, so I get it right here. Nice, got the flow wide open. Go ahead and flip the pump on. We're going to sanitize the counterflow here. And I gotta go get the water hose, hook up to the chiller and all, but I'm not going to show you guys me pumping it into the fermenter or anything. Just basically but I am going to document this brew, so I'll get it in the catalyst. So then we will follow up on, you know, how this thing's doing and racking it onto the fruit and everything, because it'll be my first time doing that, so we'll see how it goes. But we'll see how it all comes out. See you soon. Alright guys, we are 2 days into fermentation with the catalyst here on this strawberry beer that I'm planning on doing. You can see all the activity going on in the fermenter right now. You can see a lot of krausen still bubbling up here. Good airlock activity. And you can see everything collecting down in the jar, all the proteins. Look at that. That's crazy, isn't it? Much easier to see with this beer than with the previous one. But look at that fermentation just going wild. Those yeasts are going crazy in there. But yeah, I'm going to let this ferment through, and then I'm going to rack it onto some strawberries. And then I'll let it sit on strawberries for a couple of weeks. And then I will rack it into a keg. And then I'll bottle a few bottles from the keg later. But look at that. Crazy looking. I love this right here. You can see down here too on the bottom area. Everything just kind of falling down and collecting down in here. That's pretty cool looking, huh? But I'm assuming this will ferment out. This is actually really chill. This is about 65 degrees right now in this fermenter. But yeah, pretty cool. So we'll get back to this when we rack it to strawberries. Alright guys, a little update on this beer. You can see we still got some airlock action going here. Slowly. Krausen is still there a bit. Go down. Look at all that yeast collected. I'm going to actually keep this yeast, California Ale yeast. I'm going to chill it later and let it kind of stratigraphically settle. So all the yeast should settle on the bottom, and I can cant off all the rest and use it later. But yeah, I got a good batch of yeast settling on here. I'm supposed to rack this on fruit, but I'm not going to rack it on fruit until this fermentation is completely settled out. And then I'll let it sit on fruit for 2 weeks. And then I will keg it and then bottle from the keg later. But yeah, it's doing great. It's clearing up real nice. All those big chunks of stuff are really already falling down to the bottom into this jar. Let me see if I can turn the light on here and come back. Alright, I turned the light on so you guys could see better. Look at all that. All yeast and proteins. And then down here you can see there's a lot more down here. And we go up and you start to see the color of the beer coming through, but we still got some activity in there. If I look closely, you can see stuff kind of still moving around, like especially up here. Still some activity going on up here. So this thing's fermenting along at a nice, steady, slow pace, which is what I want. I don't want to risk, you know, it fermenting too fast and all these off flavors getting in the beer from stressed out yeast or whatever. But you see the top level is fermenting nice. So airlock again, going right at it. So we're going to let it go until it's done fermenting, and then we'll put it on fruit. So there's your update. Alright, it's time to put the brew on some strawberries. So here is the catalyst. This is all pretty well fermented out. I mean, you got a little bit of some stuff left over, but it's pretty much approached the end of its fermentation. And guys, look at all that yeast. That's California Ale yeast. And I am actually going to keep that yeast. I'm going to cap it and put it in the fridge. Cant off a little bit of it, put a sanitized cap and lid on it, be done with it. So first things first, you can see we still have a bit of yeast here, not much. A lot of it did go down to the jar. So what I'm going to do now is close this valve, and I wanted to show you over here. I've got my strawberries in here ready to go, and everything's been sanitized. Even the bags the strawberries were in have been sanitized, and I got my whole bunch of sanitizer stuff here. So first off, let's go ahead and take off, and I'm doing this all one-handed. So let's see if I can put this under, of course. Oh, one more thing. First thing I gotta take my jar and lid, sanitize them, of course. Let them sit in there for a minute or two. But anyways, you can go ahead and unscrew the yeast jar, tube jar, what do you call it? It's kind of slippery because my hands are wet with sanitizers, but see all that? Oh yeah, look at that. I'm gonna cant off a little bit of it like that, and I'm gonna cap that. So let me leave that there for a second, let it keep dripping. Okay, let's grab the lid here. Let's go ahead and put it together in here. We're going to take that lid and put it on top of my jar. Nice and sanitized, so I can get the lid on here. Hang on a sec. Okay, I had fun getting that off. well, getting the lid on, but look at that. That is some healthy yeast cells for me to use later. Now, it's kind of mixed with the tube and everything. You can take the jar after you have capped it and everything, kind of give it a good shake. Right? And I kind of suspend some things a little bit. I'll probably give it some more shakes. I'll put this in the fridge, and this will stratigraphically settle. And it'll be ready to pitch in another batch of beer later if I need another California Ale yeast. So what I'm going to do with this right now is give it a few more shakes. Kind of leave it upside down maybe. Try to get that stuff that's like concrete. It seems like concrete on the bottom. But I'm going to take this, put it in the fridge, and let it settle. I'm not showing you the inside of my fridge. It's a mess right now. So anyways, back to it. So now, got this thing sanitized. Let's go ahead and screw it on. Still had a drip or two right there on that. And yeah, I'm doing this all first person. Figured I might as well. I'm doing this all on my phone, this video, so hopefully y'all don't mind. So I'm gonna take my bucket for strawberries. Move the dog out of the way. Go. And get my sanitized tubing, which I am using actually a different tubing that I have that's longer than what they provided with the Craft the Brew catalyst, just because I don't want to oxygenate this at all if I can help myself. So here he is again, sniffing everything. So I'm going to take the lid off this. Set it aside, and I'm going to take one end of my hose, put it down into strawberries. Actually, I want this end because this other end's already been stretched and expanded. So just going to put it down in there like that. I'm going to hook this end onto the catalyst. Just like that. Now, I'm going to open this, take this airlock off so air can come in without sucking solution. Sanitizer, I should say. Go ahead and crack it a little bit. No bubbles. And we got our... Try not to splash it. But just like that. You don't want to splash it if you can help yourself. So now we're pretty much transferring from the catalyst into a bucket fermenter with fruit. Normally I wouldn't do this, but I don't want to put fruit in the catalyst because I think I'll have trouble trying to open it later. But I'm going to go ahead and pop it a little more. Well, so you can either leave it just partially open and let it drain, or you can full on open it. You just get that blurp at first, but the brown ale, or the brown porter, I didn't notice any like if there was any off flavors in it, I didn't notice. And I'm going to send a couple of them out to a couple other guys that do videos. Also, well, one of them does videos, sort of. The other one does do videos. I'm going to send them out anyways and see what they think of it flavor-wise. And you know who you are that I'm sending it to. So, but yeah, we're just letting this transfer. Still pretty cloudy, but that's because I stirred up the strawberries too. But yeah, it's gonna just let this thing fill all the way up. And no issues here, leaks or anything. No leaks at all. But it's draining pretty quick. Just like I was hoping. So I'll get back to you once this thing is full. Oh, she's going down. Slowly but surely, but look at that. It's a pretty full bucket. Yeah, but that's good. And I also want all that yeasty goodness to go with it too, you know, to kind of help clean things up a little bit while it clears up. And so it may kick off another bit of a fermentation with the sugars from the strawberries. Who knows? So that's it. So let me cap this and I'll get back to you. Okay, all drained, took the hose out, put my lid on with the airlock. This is my first time brewing a beer that involves using strawberries. The only thing even close to a vegetable vegetable/fruit beer that I've ever done is a pumpkin ale, and usually I mash the pumpkin in with the grains. So I'm eager to see how this turns out. Hopefully not get an infection. I talked to some other people about it, and they say that there's enough alcohol in the beer at this point that it should stage off any chance of an infection. So we'll see. That's probably why they don't want you to put the strawberries in at the beginning anyhow, or maybe it'll over ferment. I'm not sure. Maybe you know, if you've been doing this a while, put a comment below, let me know. But yeah, I think it'll be fine. And I'm not even worried about the little bit of oxygen that went through the bubble there. The oxygen thing hasn't really been a concern of mine because it's just for a moment and it's not like I'm repetitively doing it. And like the brown porter, you can't even tell. I mean, it tastes fine. It's not like I had an oxygen pump in there just bubbling it up or anything. But I mean, yeah, that's that. And so what I'll do is when it's ready, which will be a little while, I will pop one or pull one out of the keg, and we'll talk about how it turns out. So we got 2 more weeks for this thing to sit and do its thing, and I'm thinking there's going to be a second ferment kickoff with the sugars from the strawberries. I just have a feeling that's going to happen because the yeast, there's still very healthy yeast in that solution. So see ya here later in another video when I actually do the taste. Cheers.